Hello everyone, this is Friday the 13th. I think it's a good day to start the first video for this vlog. Um, my name is Tonya, I'm born in Bulgaria, 1979. So this is why I want to tell you, for most of the people it's a topic that nobody ever thought about, or they don't know much about living in a communist country. So when we were kids, for us Christmas was a big deal because for us at only that time we had the chance to eat bananas and oranges. Yes, my father had to queue for a very long time to be able to get a box of them, so there was limited quantity, so you can't get as much as you want, so everyone should have, you know, for their families. So it was interesting times where maybe for my families, even, you know, at that time they've been in their 30s, to manage to provide to your kids something that they want on a specific time of the year must have been interesting when you know that it's a slight chance you lose it. I also know that even if you had the money, you couldn't get what you want. And there was this shops called Korekom in Bulgaria. I'm sure older than me people would know about it. I was quite young, so it was a list where everyone is in a waiting list with, if you want to buy, for example, Sony TV or Panasonic, because these brands at that time it was quite impossible to get. I remember we were in that list for a very long time, so my father wanted to buy VHS, it's called, isn't it? Video. So we had 3 VHS tapes with movies, and one of them was Rambo, and the other one was Commando, I think, with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and the other one was some Turkish movie. Okay, so my name is Turkan. I'm with a Turkish background, but we're from Bulgaria. So funny enough, for that time the communist government was really strict, so my father was called to the police to explain what kind of movies we're gonna be watching, because they were afraid of propaganda from Turkey or something like this. And what I remember also, this was before 1988 maybe, 1989 it becomes the what is it called, basically the communist government stopped being in power and democracy comes. And at that time I'm 10 years old. I'll tell you what I remember. Cheers. I remember some people being forced to go to live in Turkey. I remember some friends that I had to say goodbye to, and we exchanged gifts and we never seen each other after. I remember the long queues with cars and people trying to put everything they owed in their cars to move to Turkey. They were forced to move to Turkey because people with Turkish origin, like Turkish background, they were forced, basically something like, if you feel you're Turkish, go back to your country, which is funny because we never lived in Turkey. This comes back from the Ottoman Empire, I suppose, because this is how we've been explained to when we were younger in history lessons, that this is why there's Turkish people in Bulgaria from the Ottoman Empire who remained after the war that was won by Russia. So Russians basically saved us from the Ottoman Empire. Anyway, I remember being small, but I remember these people with guns who were forcing everyone to do what they didn't want to do. Number one, 1985, they forced us to change our names, the communist country. They were basically very what's the word? I should improve my English. They just forced people. They wanted them to change the names to Bulgarians, even though they didn't want to. For me, that was really actually fun, because my father comes back home one day and says, I'll read you a list with names and you just choose your name, your new name. And for me, that was really fun. So I chose the name Tony. Ever since, everyone calls me Tony anyway, but for them it wasn't really fun. And I think this was a turning point where people at that time started to think we are not really accepted really well here. After 1989, things started to change. We didn't go to Turkey. My father really didn't want to go to Turkey. Even I remember the last evening, that actually next morning we're supposed to go with that long queue with cars, and our clothes were ready. My mom ironed them, me and my sister ready for the next morning, and on the radio they announced that the border is closed. We didn't really understand that much, but my dad was really, really happy. He just didn't want it to go to Turkey. We just didn't know enough about it. We never felt like this is our country. I remember it was hard times for them. For us, it was just saying goodbye to friends, but for them it was a lot harder, and they had to make decisions, life decisions. And there's many stories about this. I was a child, so I don't really remember of these people with guns who really pushed and beat people of old age to make them just get in a car and go to Turkey, basically kick them out of the country. It was interesting times. I wish things were slightly different, but I don't regret of staying in Bulgaria. I'm really, really happy actually I stayed in Bulgaria, because even though our country is not so rich, I think it's still a better place to live. At the moment I'm living in the UK. 2009 I made the move, but this was for different reasons, which I can come back in another video. Meanwhile, if you feel bored, cheers. Glass of red wine always makes everything better, even in depressing times, I found. And this video is made partly because I don't want to talk to people or friends when I feel down, because that could become a gossip, that could become a news. Just want to talk to myself, and whoever wants to listen, good. If you don't want to listen, cheers. Have a good evening, guys. 13th Friday. Good luck in the lottery.